Shalom, beloved YouTube channel. Priest Daniel with you here again to speak about the truth. The truth that only is found in Yeshua, the Messiah. The only one true Messiah. Because there's only salvation in His name, beloved ones. In the name of Yeshua, not in Yeshua nor Jesus. As the book of Acts explains, there's only salvation in one name. And that name is Yeshua. So, beloved ones, today we're going to speak about a new topic. The topic about tithe, offerings. That we can see the churches always asks or demands. They demand offerings. So, one thing that is very common in many churches, not in all churches, but in many churches, is tithe. Paying 10% of your income to the church every month. So, I'm going to explain to you that this is all a lie. The church is making a business out of you. You are being a victim, beloved ones. And I'm going to prove it to you with scriptures. But we're going to first analyze the context. So, where in the Old Testament will we find the tithe, 10%, or offering, as you want to call it? We're going to read Leviticus chapter 27, verse 30. If you have a Bible, we're going to read Leviticus chapter 27, verse 30. I'm going to read now. Every tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the trees, is Yahweh's. It is holy to Yahweh. So we're going to go bit by bit, part by part. So here we can see it speaks about tithe. But we're going to analyze the context. And pay attention now. It says, every tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the trees, is Yahweh. First point we're going to speak about, our first stop. It's speaking about land, seeds, fruits, vegetables, livestock, animals. That is what Yahweh in the Old Testament commanded the nation of Israel to donate as tithe. It was a commandment, yes, but it's not speaking about money. It's speaking about 10% of your harvest, your livestock, your animals. If you are making oil, 10% of your oil, for example, of your olive oil. So it's not speaking about money. But we're going to analyze a little bit more of the context. I'm explaining all of this so that we might understand how these Christian pastors are manipulating you. So what's the context? In the Old Testament, in the old days, the nation of Israel, when it was united, there were 12 tribes. So Israel is a nation of 12 tribes. And these all 12 tribes form the nation. As we know, the tribe of Levi, the Levites, one tribe, only one tribe, they were priests. I repeat, they were priests. They were serving as priests in the temple in Jerusalem. So, the rest of the 11 tribes, they were not priests. They were regular citizens. I call it like that, so you might understand. And these 11 tribes, Yahweh assigned them lands so that they might cultivate, farm, take care of animals, having livestock, having a harvest. They were secular people, as we might call it like that. They were normal people. I'm explaining this so you might understand. So, these 11 tribes, they had as a commandment to offer 10% of their livestock or their trees to the Levite priesthood. Why? Because the Levites, they were assigned by Yahweh to be priests. The Levites didn't dedicate their time cultivating or stuff like that. Why? Because Yahweh didn't assign a land to them. He assigned a land to the tribe of Judah, for example, the tribe of Simeon, the tribe of Dan, the 11 tribes, but he didn't assign to the tribe of Levi. Why? Because they were priests. So, the first thing I want you to understand, beloved ones, that this is the context. And Christian pastors are taking this topic about tithe and saying, we are Levites priests. No, you're not. I'm sorry. And your church is not the temple. Why? Because the 11 tribes, their livestock and their harvest, as Yahweh commanded them to pay as tithe to the temple, was in Jerusalem. There's only one place where Yahweh chose as a place of offering, and that temple was in Jerusalem. So, Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 23 to 27. I repeat, Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 23 to 27 explains, beloved ones, that the place that Yahweh chose for the offering of tithe was in Jerusalem. Jerusalem, not in any church in Italy or in I don't know, in United States or in England or in Germany. No, it was to the temple in Jerusalem. And the Levite priesthood ceased to exist when Yeshua died on the cross, because now there's a new priesthood, the priesthood of Melchizedek. You can read about it in the book of Hebrews if you don't believe me. So, the Christian pastors, they are not Levite priests, or they don't belong to the priesthood of Melchizedek. So when they say we are Levites and the church is the temple, here's where you need to make the offering. No, the temple was in Jerusalem. You have no obligation, listen carefully, you who are listening, you have no obligation to pay tithe to the church, because the church is not the temple of Yahweh. The temple of Yahweh was in Jerusalem. And today in Jerusalem, there's no temple. So, these are all lies. Look what Jeremiah says. Look what Jeremiah chapter 7 verse 4 says. Jeremiah chapter 7 verse 4. Do not trust in these deceptive words. This is the temple of Yahweh, the temple of Yahweh, the temple of Yahweh. You see, people, Jeremiah prophesied about this. What I'm speaking about to you today, it was already prophesied. So, beloved ones, Yahweh wants to free you from all the lies about paying money that you don't owe. You don't owe any money to the Christian pastors because they're not Levite priests. They don't even use the true names of Yahweh and Yahshua. They preach about false doctrine as Trinity in hell. So you don't owe anything to them. Another thing, they will say, if you don't pay tithe, you will go to hell. You see, this is all based on manipulation and fear, beloved ones. Manipulation and fear. And Yahweh does not manipulate or scare his children. because he's a loving Father. And I'm going to tell you about the hypocrisy of all this topic, because the Christian pastor that demands that you pay tithe, they say, Yahshua came to abolish the law. We don't need to obey or keep the Sabbath or the laws about not eating pork or shrimps. Okay, so you're telling me, pastor, that I don't need to keep the Sabbath because it is in the Old Testament and Yahshua came to abolish the law, the Old Testament. So I don't need to keep the Sabbath. I can eat shrimp and porks. I don't need to keep the commandments, the food laws. But the law about tithe, it's a commandment. You see the hypocrisy, beloved ones? It's time to wake up, beloved ones. Yahshua has come to reveal the truth and he wants to set you free. The question is, do you want to be free or are you comfortable being where you are right now? That's the message for today, beloved ones. Shalom.